Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Project Insight, creatively titled How to Excel with Project Insight. I'm Cejih Young of Project Insight, so I'm the Director of Sales and Development here at the company. A big part of my job is I spend a lot of time working with customers, both new and existing, covering all aspects of Project Insight, the software, features, onboarding and implementation, and kind of getting them set up to be really, really successful with our product. One of the reasons we wanted to do this session today is because probably the most common, I would say, existing platform that we see folks in the market using before coming to Project Insight software, I'm sure to no one's surprise, is Excel, Microsoft Excel, spreadsheets, Google Sheets, things like that. So I think as we're kind of waiting for everyone to file in, if everyone could, anyone in the chat, if you just want to drop a quick hello, maybe where you're from, that'll give us a good idea of kind of who we have today. And no worries if that's not your jam, but I'm Cejih, based out of Project Insight headquarters in Irvine, and looking forward to working with everyone today. So what we'll be covering are just some simple things, but this will actually be somewhat instructional. So the goal today is to kind of show you what are the common things that we're seeing in the market of how people are managing their projects, and how can we make it easier, and how we have made it easier to get that data from Excel, from your spreadsheets into Project Insight. Kind of the three main things we're going to be covering are task lists today, which will be very simple, and how easy it is to convert a task list from a spreadsheet into a project in Project Insight, and then how right from there you can start actually doing a lot of very powerful activities that can make life easier for yourself, but more importantly for your team. And that's definitely going to be a really big thing. So we'll be doing that. Oh, yep. Hey, Thomas Stroud from Charlotte. Good to see you. The other thing we're going to be doing is probably the most common request that I'm getting right now is project intake. So how can we manage our project request process, the data that we collect from our customers, from our vendors, from our suppliers, or whatever that is. There's a process that needs to happen before something becomes a project. Usually this process is done, yes, in spreadsheets, but I've seen it's all done in email, it's done in Messenger, it's done in Word. And we'll be covering a lot of that today to really help take that process. And a lot of folks don't know this, but you can actually integrate and combine that right within Project Insight software. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into it. But yeah, I mean, would love to learn and would love to hear from the audience. How do you do project intake? How do you do project requests right now? Do you just receive an email and then all the data is right there in the email and that's what you have to go with? Do you use something like Google Forms maybe, that you send out a link to your customers, they fill out? Or do you have, I'm going to guess probably a spreadsheet that needs to be filled out, documented, approved, and kind of go in there? Feel free to drop that in and, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share a different screen real quick with you. In fact, I'm actually going to have to share my entire screen. All right, so let's talk about project intake, and then we'll kind of jump over to the task list since that's sort of the hot topic. So this is kind of my fake company that I've made, Selling Sunset Incorporated, Selling Sunset Inc. And this is these are the requirements that they need to be able to launch a project, right? So they've kind of got it in two different things. They need their request to make a business case, probably to get approved. They need project name, the importance, target completion date, And then they also have kind of the key project information that needs to go in, which is then going to be evaluated, probably by committee, probably by, maybe on a weekly call or done over email or messenger to get something like this done. And it looks like they're using Word. All right. Just the nature of having your project request process set up like this means that this is definitely guaranteed to require a lot of manual work. We have other ways that we have seen project intake being done. Let me go ahead and so this is kind of the same idea, but this would just be in a spreadsheet format, exact same template. But this is actually one of the most common things that I see when, probably talking with hundreds of customers every month on how they do project intake, how they do project requests. Same with reporting. How many of you have ever seen a portfolio report that looks something like this, where you're trying to manage a bunch of different projects? You have one central spreadsheet where everything is done. These are all your different projects that you're working on. So this is the property portfolio for Sunset Inc., looking at kind of what they have for the full year. And you've got something in Thousand Oaks, Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, and here's everyone who's involved and working on all of these property projects, different departments, different people. What ends up happening in a system like this is this now becomes kind of where everyone has to go. The problem is people aren't great at keeping spreadsheets updated when it's not their main priority, right? Because they're focused on their actual work that needs to be done in quality improvement, operations, customer service, things like that. Updating a spreadsheet isn't always what's top of mind, and it's very hard to make something like this that's very static proactive. And that's one of the biggest issues that we have. So what ends up happening is you have to hire someone who essentially their full-time job, or you already have someone on staff who their new job now becomes just managing all these spreadsheets. A lot of spreadsheets will be made of task lists. So this is something common, and I'll show you a different example here. But we've seen, a lot of tasks start off with something like this. It's just here's all of the tasks that need to happen. Here's how long these tasks take. Here's who's assigned to it, and maybe if you're lucky, you can even set up kind of a predecessor or dependency relationship. Probably not in a spreadsheet, but this is pretty common of what we're seeing out there in the market. So how do we take all this and then get it into Project Insight? Well, the easiest thing is going to be tasks. So let's start with that. So right here, this is a simple task list that right now I'm using the Project Insight task Excel import template to get this data formatted so that it can now go right into Project Insight, and I can start building projects. I've made this super, super simple. A lot of things that I see is I see new users really try to, I think they get a little maybe overwhelmed or try to overcomplicate this process. The easiest thing that you want to do is just get some of your tasks done. You can assign some duration, some work hours. You don't even need to worry about the start and end date. That's one of the beauties of Project Insight. It'll calculate all that for you. If you haven't added any users or resources, no worries, don't need to do that now. We just want to get tasks into the software so that we can start to build projects and start to grow out your portfolio. And then we can add kind of the other pieces there. It's the best way to go about it. So this is a super simple template that we have. What I've done is I've gone ahead and just to make this very clear, I've gone ahead and bolded the parent tasks. So what this means is basically there are 3 phases of this task list. There's the planning, the execution, and the final phase. Within planning, there are 1, 2, 3 different subtasks, what we call child tasks that belong to this parent, which is planning. And all you do right here is you just list out the task ID. This will always be, just in a numerical string. And then the parent ID, it's really easy. So I just want to assign, that these tasks right here, identify objectives, prepare budget, and approval from management. These should all fall under the planning phase. And then execution, same thing, and finalize, same thing here. So you're always just going to use your parent ID, and that's going to help you get your subtasks. And then duration, just I just pick some simple things: 1 day, 2 day, 4 days, stuff like that. And then the work hours just multiplies that by 8. So that is our import. Let's go ahead and get this into Project Insight. So this is the Project Insight home screen. Right here, I only have a few things turned on. That's one of the nice parts about Project Insight. You don't need to run in there and turn on everything. We have a lot of features. It's a very robust tool. We've been around for almost 20 years. So it can definitely do a lot for you. There's no need to start right out of the gate with everything. Just get tasks into projects. So right here, I'm just going to go to projects. I have a couple existing ones, all right, but I'm going to show you how to add a brand new one. So let's just say this is a new Irvine property project, all right. If you have a template, you can create it here, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Sure, I'll go ahead and assign a color. We'll do nice and blue. And you can assign departments and whatnot. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. I'll have the start date. Let's do it for Monday the 13th. And then just hit save. All right. Okay. So now I just have a blank, clean project with no tasks, nothing. Rather than do all of this manually and add, because you may have 100 tasks, I'm just going to do a simple import from Excel. And I've already got my file that I need right here. And let's go ahead and upload that. So we should see the planning, execution, and the finalize phase. And there it is. So I've got my parents, I've got my subtasks, the days transferred over. Looks like the work hours didn't, so I'll have to go and check and see what that is. But the nice part is it's already gone ahead and set up the start and end dates for each tasks. From here, I can go ahead and I can assign predecessors. You can also do predecessor by number, which is very easy. And I can start to assign some tasks to people on my team. So if I know that some of these tasks here, I can go ahead and bulk assign just using our bulk edit feature right here. I can add that to, let's say AJ. And perhaps on the budget side and rollout 2, I want to assign that to someone else on the team. Say Brian. And then we'll do the rest will be to me. Awesome. So just like that, we're able to get a beginning project set up. We've imported our tasks, normally done in a spreadsheet, now into a live project within Project Insight. And if you have some users set up, these are all just kind of fake users on my team, but you can start to assign resources to them, which is going to get your task list going. It's going to get your work list going. And then you can even, start to assign predecessor relationships to make this kind of a living, breathing, automated project. But this is how easy it is to get your data from a task list in Excel or Google Sheets or something like that over into Project Insight. Once you have this, then you're going to have a bunch of active projects running. And this is what it might look like. So here's that new project. It just started, or it hasn't even started yet. It'll start next week. Looks like everything is ready to go. And then these are some of the other existing projects that I have kind of in the pipe right now. And we'll take a look at what maybe one of these other ones looks like. So again, once you have a project that's a little more mature and a little more developed, it could look something like this, where here you'll have all of your resources assigned, all of your predecessors assigned. And from here, you can start to look at it on a Gantt chart, which will kind of show you what's happening, where you add in your project. What's really great about Project Insight is if you need to make adjustments, like I want to drag this out, we're actually, everyone's taking vacation this week, so I need to push this out, a week. It'll go ahead and do that. And Project Insight is intelligent enough through our intelligent scheduling feature that it knows to update all the other tasks, and it actually did that for me in the task list right here. It went and updated all these dates. I didn't have to touch anything. And that's just Project Insight in the background doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So hopefully that shows how easy it is to go from task to project to a bunch of projects, and kind of get that running. If you have something where, hey, this is this task list is actually, or this project list is actually a template, you can do a template right here. Exact same process. You would just put the template name, hit save, and then you can import your tasks from Excel right over into here. So hopefully that shows, just a great way where you can kind of start to make life easier. So what's nice is once you get a bunch of projects running, then you can start to actually run reports. And I kind of, you may remember here was sort of that sample report that I showed you of, this is a pretty common way that people will try to manage a lot of projects, is in a report like this. Well, we're actually able to take, a great step. Obviously, if you work with our implementation, onboarding, and success team, they'll really do a lot of the heavy lifting. But as you're kind of testing Project Insight out on your own right now, it's actually very easy to take existing reports that you have in Excel and get them replicated in Project Insight so that that can now live, and you can kind of practice what that would be like and run different scenarios to have sort of that spreadsheet style report imported and directly into Project Insight. And I'm going to show you just a couple ways to do that. So we have a ton of reports out of the box where once you have active users, once you have users who've been assigned tasks, you have projects that are running and in play, you can start to see a lot of information happening within each project. And these are a bunch of ways that you can kind of slice the pie and look at your business. However, I have a few that are done right here. So we have one that's, this is one of my personal favorites, is the cross-project Gantt chart. Even though there isn't a ton of info to just right out of the gate, I think visually this tells a great story. And a lot of times that's what you need to be able to show to your team, to leadership, to stakeholders who are going to be involved in your business and in your portfolio. So the black line will always show the project status. So here's that new Irvine property that hasn't started yet. So it's nice and clean. We have some milestones here with the diamonds, which is what that'll represent. And if I click on any of these, it will show me some high level data of kind of where is this project at, who's assigned to it, what's been done. And then from here, I can jump right into the project. But this is a great one that you can share. It tells a better story than anything on a spreadsheet or even over email would. And this is just a great way to provide sort of a single source of the truth of what's happening in your portfolio to many, many different users. A simple report like this can actually have a very big impact on your team or teams. The way that we're able to take a project report like what I showed you earlier, and then kind of give it some life in Project Insight, is through our custom fields feature. So everything you see here, this is exactly what was in that spreadsheet. But what I went ahead and did is I added this status board right here. So this kind of shows, where they're on track, what needs attention, what's behind schedule, so that as those tasks start to get updated in those individual projects, we can start to see some of the changes get updated here in this report in real time. But this, a lot of times where people need to start is they need to see, okay, here's my Excel report. Let me see what this looks like in Project Insight, and then I can tweak it and adjust it from there. Let's look at how to do that. So the way to do that is going to be through our custom fields add-on. So that's going to be right here. Just go to add-ons, custom fields, and we're going to do some configuring. So right from here at the project level, what we went ahead and did is we just added a field. So you would literally go right to here, my new field. You can decide what you want this field to be, maybe just a simple text box. Perhaps you want it to be a drop-down list and you want to add specific values to your company in this drop-down list. You can have it be a combo box where you can select multiple things. You can even have it be a date where it'll actually produce like a little calendar where you can select what you want that to be. It could be a text area. There's date selector here. You can decide if you want this to go on the bottom of the form, at the top of the form, and it'll default also and help you along that. If it's a field that you want to be able to report, maybe you want it to be a default column, you want to show it as a report filter, enable the group by, you can do all that and then just go ahead and hit save. And then it'll show right here. And now you have a new custom field that can show in your projects. It can be updated by users on your team, and it'll also show in the reports. And that was something that we did right here, just to get all of those data fields from that spreadsheet. Oops. Right here. And then we inputted all the fields, and then it gave us this really nice looking report, which now users can actually update directly as they're doing their tasks. And that's just one of the big things that's going to take a ton of work off of your plate, and making this, one, it's definitely going to make life easier, but it's also going to give people a little more ownership of the work that they're doing and the impact that they're having on the rest of the team. So now kind of for the grand finale, we'll go to project requests. So you remember those two project request forms I showed you? One was a Word doc, the other was a spreadsheet where people filled in the info. So again, just using our, go back to custom fields, just using our custom fields add-on right here, you can go right to project request, and then you can start to type in and you can add what are the specific, fields that you need from your customers, from your team, from anyone who's requesting a project. What type of fields would you like those to be? Do you want those to be dates, simple text, multiple choice answers, things like that? You can add and control all of that, and then get all of that imported and added directly to the custom fields project request form right here. And then when you go to project request, which I'll show you, so we have some active ones, but right here, if I want to create a project request, instead of having to use this spreadsheet right here, I can now simply direct my customers, direct anyone who needs to create a project request, and they can do that right here. By Cejih. I can add the description if this is something I need to assign to someone on my team. I can do project name, priority. What's my estimated completion date? Perhaps by the end of the year. Maybe that's not realistic. By the end of February. The date that this was prepared today. If there's any descriptions that normally are required, I can put all of that in here. Scope, local SoCal market. Any deliverables, all that, hit save. And then now I have a brand new right here project request form that's been populated and created all in the same spot where my projects are approved where project requests are also approved and then created into projects. And here's how you do that. It's actually really easy. So you can go right from here. If this needs to be approved by someone, we can add an approval. Which you can actually route to a supervisor or something like that. But this will show you all the details. So you have the project name, the priority, all the fields that you needed. I said scope was local SoCal market. All the fields that you needed will be right here. You can even add a scorecarding feature to this, which is another great thing about moving this, away from Excel, away from a spreadsheet into a software like this. And then from here, you can finally create a project. Let's say this is all approved, looks good. Okay, we're going to push the new property project request by Cejih into a new project. We can create it from a template. Maybe we have this one that we want to use. Say the company start date, we'll have it be first week of the year, and then go ahead and hit save. So it'll take all of that data, everything that was input during the project intake process, and boom, it'll spit it out into a new project. You can assign the template that you want for it. You can, of course, create your own. And if that template has resources, this is your project team, you guys are ready to go. And then what's nice is this will now show up as a new project in your project dashboard home. It'll now show up as a new project in your active cross-project Gantt chart right here. There it is. And then it'll also show up in your property portfolio report if it meets the requirements, which it looks like it does. And now it's all added there. And you can even get it so that these will be automatically assigned. And once those inputs are filled in, it'll actually auto-populate in all here. And if you really like this report, maybe you want to share it and have it auto-schedule with the team at, I don't know, 8 a.m. every Friday or every Thursday, just so everyone kind of sees what's going on before the weekend hits. You can do that. And this will email them a nice little report. You can even do a Excel format if you want, and it'll send it to them. You can even share this with customers too. So hopefully that kind of shows how a lot of business aspects that are typically done in spreadsheets can actually be migrated and start to point into one central location and one place, that place being Project Insight software. And hopefully this kind of shows how easy it is to actually take some of that off of your plate, get the data into PI, assign the task to users. It's very easy to replicate reports. It's very easy to do custom fields, and you can actually start making some pretty powerful moves with the software right out of the gate. If you need help or anything like that, our team is always here to help you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. So our team is always here to help you. With anything that you may need, you can always reach out to our support and anything like that. So if anyone is interested, I would be more than happy. This is something that I do try to do with customers who do have a need and a business case for something like this. Feel free to email me at cejih.young@projectinsight.com. And if you have some data that is currently in Excel and you want to see what that would look like in Project Insight, basically in the way that we just did, I'd be happy to put a couple hours on the calendar with you and we can do some working sessions together to get that going. So I probably have the capacity to maybe do that with 2 people total between now and the end of the year, but the offer stands, first come, first serve, whoever's interested. So thank you so much, and we really look forward to working with you, to helping you get your data off of something that may not be so effective and getting it into Project Insight and showing you how easy and fun, dare I say, life can be managing your projects with our tool. So thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Bye-bye now.